we feel it, we saw it, we know what it's like. But every one of these infectious diseases tragedies, you know, I want to fix that. I want to solve that problem. I share your vision of no more pandemics, the end of pandemics in our lifetime. That's where I hope we can be. I have 3 minutes to make 3 points. The first is I want to talk a little bit about the Department of Defense and sort of our role in all of this, with the bottom line message is that we want to be part of the team and we want to be very helpful teammates. My second is I want to preview our Diagnostic Challenge subgroup, which is coming up this afternoon. I want to recruit you and inspire you and talk a little bit about what we hope to accomplish. And the third is spend a tiny bit of time on what I think the biggest problem is for this crisis and for the future crisis. As a Department of Defense, we want to be part of the team. And what I mean by that is, I think we have a proud tradition in global health where we've worked in partnership with our colleagues in the United States as well as international partners on addressing things like malaria and dengue and emerging infectious diseases. So I think we have a lot to offer, and I'll give you an example in a second on that. But furthermore, to take 5 seconds and go very big picture, is that the Department of Defense, well, let me tell you this. I was having dinner last night with Mr. Andrew Weber, one of our former Assistant Secretaries of Defense, and a big thinker on national security. That's not me, I'm just a physician, but a big thinker on national security. And over dinner conversation, we said, what is the Department of Defense? What ultimately is our purpose? And simply stated, I think we are an instrument of national security. Okay? And so then, and what is national security? Well, I don't really know. But for me, national security is keeping people safe. Keeping people safe so that they are not harmed. And if that's what national security is, then Ebola is part of national security. It's a national security priority. And as we think about the 21st century, what does the future hold for us? What are the threats? It's this, right? It's Ebola, and it's the next pandemic. And it's even those things that are more routine, but are also destabilizing for governments. The personal tragedies, but they also, as a nation and as a global community, they make us less safe. So that's why we feel as a DoD we're part of the team. And I should say as a disclaimer, I'm not speaking for the whole DoD. This is my opinion. But I think we should be part of the team. We want to be part of the team, and I think we can help in a lot of different ways. But I want to give you one specific example. Is that I'm currently assigned to the Biological Technologies Office at DARPA. And you may know DARPA, lots of innovation, and it's robots, and it's information technology, all that good stuff. But we also really care about biology, and we care about pandemics. And that's why we want to bring innovation in our small part to try to promote this. And our simple message on innovation, what we're trying to do, it's hard to do, but what we're trying to do is say, can we invest in platforms platforms that can be then leveraged for a current crisis, but also help us prepare for the future, okay? And how do we do that? Well, it's really hard to do. But what we can talk about in the subsection is some of the specific ideas on where we say, if we leverage a platform here, we invest in technology, and that breakthrough is not only useful for an Ebola outbreak, but it's useful for all the other infectious diseases, both routine and the ones that are going to cause the next pandemic, then we win. So what is it? I don't know. That's a hard question, but that's what we want to talk about in the subgroup today. And that's where your collective wisdom and insight get into that, okay? And that's what I mean by, now what I want to do is preview that discussion for the Diagnostics Challenge. We've talked a lot with Gene Walther in terms of what that session could be. First, I want to tell you what I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be diagnostics are really important. That's not the conclusion. We all know that, okay? I don't think it should be a litany of speeches and lessons learned about we need better diagnostics, and here, you know, we should have done this or we should have done that. We're going to start the session with that, but I'm determined we're not going to end that way. We're going to take the lessons learned and we're going to say, okay, here's how we solve the problem now. And we're going to dig into the details, and we're going to debate, and we're going to say cost versus accuracy. do we transform that? We should talk about manufacturing. We should talk about field deployment, logistics, and all those hard questions. That's what I want to talk about today, and I think Gene shares that vision. So it should be an exciting session. But you can hold us accountable then, because I think at the end of the day, right, Gene, we're going to present. So hold us accountable, see how we do. But at least for me, I'm pretty determined to make that session translate that into action. Okay, and that's my final point for you. It's like, what's the biggest challenge? It's complacency. We heard from the Sierra Leone Ministry of Health. It's complacency. Why am I bringing it up? Because I think I learned pretty well by repetition. My kids certainly learn well by repetition, so I'm going to repeat it. We should not be complacent. But we are, though, right? We are. We get distracted by our day-to-day and all the other things that are going on. And I think that's the danger with Ebola. With Ebola now, but what's going to happen next is that we're going to get complacent, and we're going to have another meeting about another infectious disease that's 2 to 3 years down the road, the next flu pandemic or something else, and we're going to end up saying kind of the same things. So let's not let that happen. Let's not be complacent. I'll conclude on this. It's a sincere thank you for those of you that serve. I think a lot of you out there in the field on the ground, certainly from the countries affected, they're the heroes, and it's a thank you to them. And if I'm trying to come up with an antidote for that complacency, it's, I guess, reflecting on the sacrifices and the effort for those who serve. I find that very motivational when I'm taking care of soldiers and taking care of patients that serve in our military. But there are a lot of people who are continuing to serve now, and I feel, hopefully, that the complacency, when we're tempted to fall back into our routines, we can remember what they've done.